Well, welcome to another episode of People in Politics. We're very honored today to have our current guest, Kevin Malecek, Lake County Commissioner, newly appointed Lake County Commissioner.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Big Chuck and Little Bobby. It's a beautiful day in Cleveland.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's awkward when we film in the wintertime and there's no snow in the background. Yeah, but it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Newly appointed Lake County Commissioner.
Newly appointed.
Do I have to call you Commissioner or can I call you Kevin?
You can just call me Kevin. I'd say just Kevin, but that may steal from other people. So,
So from some of our other guests. We don't want to get one of our other guests.
Exactly.
I believe my first guest was Dave Joyce.
Well, we don't. Yeah. So Kevin is just fine.
It's just fine. That's what we can use as your slogan now. Kevin's just fine. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And tell all the viewers a little bit about your background. You grew up in Lake County, right?
I did. I grew up in Willoughby Hills. I went to Willoughby South High School. I was a rebel there, and then I went to college at American University.
I was going to say Georgetown. I thought you went to Georgetown.
Of course you didn't say Georgetown. It makes us all very upset. At least you didn't say George Washington. That's
that would have been worse
for us that were American graduates. So I was an American Eagle. Once an Eagle, always an Eagle.
That's great.
I got my bachelor's degree there and my master's degree there, but in political science and history.
In political science for your bachelor's and
political science and history for my bachelor's, and then political science only for my master's degree.
Okay.
But it was great. I interned on Capitol Hill when I was there, and
did you really
learned all about the importance of constituent service and keeping up with what's going on.
Things you can use in your current job.
I hope so. I'm trying to be very constituent service oriented in this job, but it was a great experience. I had 6 great years in Washington, but at the end of that, it was time to come home. I've always felt the pull here and moved back actually to Willoughby Hills. Worked at Cleveland State. Ran a federal grant program there dealing with improving American history education, actually, in a lot of our inner-ring suburban schools, Lakewood, East Cleveland, a lot of schools like that. It was a great program that I worked with.
So you were at Cleveland State the years that they were really starting to
When they were really starting to ramp up. Michael Schwartz was president there, and it was toward the end of his term before they hired Mr. Berkman. And it was before all the great buildings really showed up, the Langston and all the other great developments they've done there. But it was really starting to ramp up and to be another quality place of education.
And for the viewers that don't know, we actually filmed right across the street from Cleveland State.
I was great being at my old stomping grounds here.
It's great how
I wish they had that restaurant and that coffee shop when I was here, but it's a great place.
And it really has changed a lot since you've been there. I mean, Cleveland State has expanded by leaps and bounds. So
very much.
That's great. So you left Cleveland State.
Left Cleveland State. I was running for City Council in Willoughby Hills at the same time as a part-time position, and I won my seat on council.
First time?
First time, 71% of the vote. I beat an incumbent, went door to door to every house in my district, and I held that seat for 10 years up until 2013. But then
Wait. Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 35.
You're 35 years old?
I was 23 years old when I won my council seat. So
you're 23 years old. You were running the grant program at Cleveland State, one of the grant, and running for City Council.
And running for City Council.
Wow.
I guess I'm a dynamo.
Yeah, I thought I was an overachiever.
Maybe there's another word for it. I don't know. Sorry, but
all my guests really embarrass me when you guys tell me everything you've done at such a young age. So you're 35 years old. You started your political career at 23, but you've always been interested in politics.
Very much so. Since I was a kid. And people always say, why? Is there one particular thing? Not really. I've just always had an innate interest in American presidents and American history, and I always liked going to the battlefields more than the beaches when I was a kid. It was just strange, of course, but I've always, just had an innate draw to what's going on in American history, and I always had kind of a draw, and it probably sounds kind of cliche, but to help people out. All the positions I've had professionally, I've been in positions where I'm either helping people get their degree, when I was running the MBA program at Case, which we were just going to talk about, or improving history education, improving the classroom, or in these government service types of positions. It's always been there. What can I do to help somebody out, in whatever capacity that I'm in?
That's great. Now, when you were on City Council for 10 years, and you were president of City Council for a time, right?
For 4 years of that, actually, yeah.
And then what did you do in that transition period? You were at Case, and you worked there.
It was a brief, my wife and I moved, actually, within the city, and that caused me to lose my seat, unfortunately. We looked for a long time to try to find another house, but we couldn't. So I was out of public service basically from the end of 2013 till the beginning of 2015 when this opportunity came along where I could be appointed county commissioner, which was it's been a great experience thus far. About 2 months into the job, but I was running the Mentor Chamber of Commerce at the time. I was the president and CEO of the Mentor Area Chamber of Commerce for about 3 years, and that was a great experience. Council was great. Everything that I've been able to do has just expanded my horizons and allowed me to be able to, again, help more and more people in whatever position I've been.
Well, it seems like you have this really great, unique mix of public sector, private sector, working with the constituents, working with business. So I think that's going to really lead you to a very long and elaborate political career.
I hope so. Either public or private as far as it goes. But it's a great mix because I've been able to obviously connect with lots of people, small businesses, the other parts of the business community, but then just all everyday people that are working at some of those businesses, that are working downtown, that are commuting in from Lake County. I was on the Lake Train Board of Trustees too, which talked to a lot of our seniors and those with disabilities that needed to take our transit service to wherever they were going. It's been nice to be able to kind of be in capacities where be able to hear from so many different sectors of public life.
Yeah, I think people sometimes rush into politics a little bit, and they don't have kind of a global education of dealing with public sector, private sector, business people, constituents. And I think that's really, like I said, going to lead to you being in a good political position moving forward, because you know how to deal with both areas of politics, basically.
I try, and I appreciate you saying that, and hopefully you're right. So
I think I will be right. I think you're going to have a long political career out of yourself.
Well, thank you.
So in January, you were just appointed as a Lake County Commissioner.
I was.
Commissioner Awfuldish retired?
Commissioner Awfuldish retired early. He had served our county almost 20 years, I think, in office at the time, and he's got his retirement, and all the best to Bob. And I was appointed and took office the beginning of February, actually. So.
Good.
It's been about 2 months since I
took
office.
Getting your feet wet, getting situated.
Feet wet, and it's been great because I've been able to go out and talk to all of our different departments. I was actually at a meeting this morning with the trustees in Paynesville Township to hear about some of the things that are going on there, some of the concerns that they have, and their interactions with the county. I've really been trying to get around. We have a county of 230,000 people. It's the smallest county geographically in the state, but it is 11th, I think, in population. So we've got a lot of diversity in terms of populations. We've got, suburbs that were built in the 50s and the 60s in the west end of the county, and then we have more rural areas like Madison and Perry and Leroy Township on the eastern side of the county. So there's a lot of different interests and perspectives on how things
working
work.
With both sides, and everybody's got a unique, perspective on how they want things done. So
precisely.
Yeah, but you can handle it.
I can try. It's that global education. I hope I have.
I have faith in you. I have faith in you.
Try.
Now, one of the things that people might not know about, you're a huge Cleveland sports fan, right?
I am.
Yeah.
How can you not be?
Yeah,
it's
very exciting.
It's a painful
right?
experience, I have season tickets to the Browns, though I often ask myself why.
This year you might be asking yourself that
I
question.
really asked myself why when I went and renewed them this year. It was the week something else had just happened. People were being texted on the sidelines or what have you, and I just it's a great idea. I'm going to go. And they just raised my prices 20%. Well, yes.
Yeah,
so
might as
I'm
well.
going to go renew them.
We don't have
now,
a quarterback.
So
I'm renewing the season.
It sounds like a great plan. So. I've always enjoyed it since I was a little kid.
Well, at least we have a very exciting time period with the Cavs.
That's
very exciting
true.
with the Indians, right? We lost the game yesterday, but the home openers this week.
It's 1 out of 162.
We're
There's
good.
Plenty to go.
We're good.
I feel very good about it.
Do you have season tickets to any one of those two?
No. Okay.
I
I just kind of pick and choose and go when I can as far as.
So I've had a lot of guests on the show. I think you're the 12th or 13th now, and I think between you and Commissioner O'Grady from Franklin County, you guys have been the two biggest sports fans we have yet. But you try to go to as many Cavs games, baseball games as you can.
I do. I mean, it's a fun time. But the job of a commissioner is busy, and every day is different, and there's always different events and other types of organizational meetings and things that I need to go to in the evening sometimes.
Sure.
So you gotta balance that out.
So a public official's life is very, very busy.
It is.
What do you like doing in your free time? What do you like to do for fun?
Well,
other than go to sporting events.
Other than sporting is a big. I do some amateur photography. Actually, I do. My wife and I have been fortunate to do some traveling. But even in Lake County, there's some great places to go photograph. Lake Erie Bluffs, the new park that the Lake Metro Parks opened about a year and a half ago. They got bald eagles that come there and nest.
Oh,
I mean, it's a really phenomenal place. There's so many great places in Lake County to be able just to go out and take photographs. So I always enjoy doing that. I find it very relaxing. As far as that goes, I enjoy golfing when I can. I run quite a bit. I was just talking a few minutes ago. I did 12 5Ks last year, which isn't that exciting. But for a guy like me who didn't run for the longest time, it was a great accomplishment.
So there's
for
still
me.
hope for
There's
a guy like
absolutely
me.
Hope for
okay,
you.
because I don't.
Absolutely
If
there
you
is.
saw the interview we did with PG Sittenfeld, I mean, he did this.
He's
he's
he
done
does like marathons.
Yeah,
and
he's
stuff.
done big runs. I don't think I've run 12 5Ks between my whole life.
Oh,
if you span that all out.
doubt-
I need to figure that out. You need to help me out with that.
Well, I just did the St. Malachi 5-miler a couple weeks ago.
Oh, good for you.
Talking about maybe doing a half later this year, but I'm not going to commit on air because then I'll be held to it. And, we'll see.
We'll hold you to it.
We'll see if it ends up happening or not. I'd like to maybe try to do something like that at some
That's
point,
great.
so.
That's great. And you said you're a student of history and a student of
I am.
politics.
I
And
am.
one of
I
the
try to
questions
be.
that I like to ask all my guests is, who's your favorite American president and why?
See, I knew you'd ask me that question. You know, I'd have to say it maybe a mix between John Kennedy, just because he just gave so much inspiration and forward thinking and positive forward thinking. And I think that if you're a leader, you need to be able to do that. You know, obviously you've got to have a great mind for public policy, but you need to be able to inspire people. You need to be able to.
And he connected with
he
people.
Did. He connected with people. I am nowhere as good looking as John F. Kennedy was, but if I can provide hopefully some of that inspiration,
You have the
and
charisma
enthusiasm,
factor, too.
well, I try.
You're good with it.
I try, of course, but if I can provide any of that enthusiasm out there, that's something that I want to do in the job of commissioner. And then, you know, I do respect Bill Clinton for a lot of the policy. When it was in Washington was in the second half of his term.
Okay.
And don't agree with obviously some of the personal foibles that he had and so forth, but you know, just in terms of accomplishment and work and actually bringing both sides together, which is something I've always prided myself on being able to do. Whether I was in city council, I was a Democrat that was elected by 6 Republicans to be council president. So
that was the shape up of city council.
That was the shape up of city council. I mean, it's nonpartisan, but
Sure.
I've always prided myself on being able to work with people whose views may be slightly different than mine, and trying to find that common ground. And I think that was something that, especially in his second term, he was able to accomplish.
Sure, and I think you really hit on kind of the heart of people in politics, which is you may be a Democrat and Jim Renacci may be a Republican and Dave Joyce or whatever, but there's a lot of common ground that you guys can work on. And that was one of the reasons why we developed People in Politics over a year ago, was to show everybody that we're just people in politics. We may disagree on some things, but we can work together, and that's a great story that you have about city council.
I say, and I can sit and talk with Jim Renacci or David Joyce about how bad the Browns are all day long. So it's.
I think there's
if
a
you
half
find
a million.
that common ground, it's not. You know, it makes it easier.
There may be a 500,000 other people you might be able to talk about.
I'm sure that's something I can relate to people very well with. I'm sure.
Well, this has been great having you on the show.
Thank you very
and learning
much.
a little bit more about you. And I know you're going to have a very long and illustrious career ahead of you. So hopefully you'll come back on the show.
Always
hopefully the
happy to
questions
do
weren't
it.
too tough. And
No, this is great. This is great. If every day was like this, my job would be key.
People in Politics Day.
It is.
Let's do that.
It is.
Well, I appreciate you guys joining us for another episode of People in Politics. And thank you, Kevin, for joining us.
Bobby.
And
glad to
I will
here.
be seeing you guys soon on another episode of People in Politics. Thanks, guys.